Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube. Today we are going to be doing a resin video with the brand new Let's Resin epoxy resin. They sent me this to try it out. They contacted me on Facebook and asked if I wanted to try their newest one, and I couldn't miss an opportunity to try a new resin. So today we're going to be making a candle holder combining two molds. If you want to do this, you need a flat base mold, which is going to be what your candle sits on, and you're going to need your decorative, well, whatever you want it to be. This is going to actually stand inside your other mold once it's made to create the candle, and you're going to need a jar lid that holds a tea light candle without touching the sides, but you don't want it too big. You also want to make sure that it fits in your mold, along with, this is just a plaster piece of this mold, along with your piece that you're going to be making, and that it all sits nice and comfortably, and we're going to make a candle holder. So before I start putting resin, I'm going to dust my mold with some of this pigment. Now I'm just looking for a big-ish fluffy brush. I want this like pearlescent sheen on my candle. I'm not going to like make it really opaque, I'm just going to lightly dust it, and that will just dull down any colours that I put in here and give it a more magical look. Make sure you get all those little crevices if you're using a detailed mold. And that is all ready for my resin. As usual, I am using my chemical barrier cream as I have an allergy to gloves. And if you're wondering what these white parts are on me, I'm in the middle of decorating my hallway and I'm covered in paint, which I can't get off. So I'm not finished with my hallway, so the paint can stay. So with this barrier cream, you just need to apply it, not a liberal amount, like enough to, as if you're applying a hand cream. Rub it in all over and just give it a little time to dry. It will feel kind of gross and sticky at first, but it dries really quickly, and this just acts as a barrier between your skin and the resin. It is actually a chemical barrier cream used for resin, and it's by West System Products, and I got it on Amazon. It's my current favourite one, although it does smell like old ladies perfume. Okay, so the Let's Resin is a 50-50 resin, equal parts of A and B. And I'm not going to preheat or do anything to this resin to bubble, degas, whatever. I want to see how this resin performs. My color, so for the moon, I think I'm going to do him slightly blue, and for the sun, obviously he'll be slightly yellow, but I need to let the, so pretty much what I've done on my plaster piece, only not as extreme color. I'm just going to leave that there for a second. I'm going to get myself a little pokey stick, because there are some little details that will catch the bubbles. So I'm just going to put a little bit in to begin with. And then I'm going to make sure I get all those crevices that might catch bubbles. Especially around the edges of things. Then, once I am sure there's no bubbles caught, I'm going to pour more of my resin. I do not want it to come past the where the little barrier between the sun and the moon is. Just want to make sure it just comes to that. So I'm being very careful. I think that might be it. So with the resin I've got left, I'm just going to swirl it on here because I want my base to match. So I'm literally just going to swirl it on any way I please. Doesn't need to be neat. And that just gives me somewhere when the next color is ready. I forgot to add, I might actually settle in my little jar on this wet resin because I want it quite embedded. Metal sticks really well to resin. Just leave a little gap. You still want to make sure that, well, I'll have a much thinner piece than this, still fits in, and kind of center it, and that will help cure it in place. But when you add the next layers of resin, this will be fully embedded and be stuck in there. Okay, so it's been about maybe 8 hours since I did this. It is no longer liquid, so I should be okay before the next. Okay, we're back to do the next layer. Now it's because I have this 2-color design that I'm having to do this in so many steps. If you're doing this in 1 color, you don't need to do as many steps as this. I'm going to mix up a substantial amount because this is going to be the back layer of this, and finish topping this up before we transfer. So I'm going to be doing it with a little tiny bit of shimmer white. With that self level. I'm not even doing anything about the bubbles at this moment in time. I'm going to leave that because we want this to have quite a lot of mold space left for when we join our 2 pieces. So we're going to leave that to fully cure. I'm going to clean up and wait for it. Okay, so this is sat overnight. I'm going to peel out the mold. Oh, it's looking good. And we are going to sand a little bit and attach it in here. I'm just going to gently take off the edges. Okay, I've just taken off the edges a little bit. Now you want to give yourself a bit of a flat base, so you want to pick the point at which it's going to stand, and you just want to sand that bit a bit flat. like so, because that is the bit that is going to stand in here. Okay, so you want to get yourself a stick. You want to tape your stick to your two non-moving items. Make sure I can go a bit lower, because this is going to be a support. So just tape them on. You want to position close to it where you want it to go. And you also want to just give this a little tape in place just to make sure it doesn't move, so tape it to the stick. So tape it to the stick, make sure it's exactly where you want it to be. It might take some fiddliness, especially if your washi tape is not that sticky. Mine doesn't appear to be. So in this layer I'm going to add some few confetti stars, I think. I don't want this to be a thick layer because we're not done with the layers of resin. I want this to be quite a thin layer. I have these little blue ones. I'm just going to tip out some. Dotting tool. We're just going to dump in some resin. Oh, try not to move your mold. You want to help it get around everything. Now this bit might be a bit awkward. You have to stand up and move around your mold to make sure you get it in all around your little piece. And it doesn't matter if this layer goes right to the top of your mold. We're going to be adding more resin after we take it out of the mold, so this is fine. As long as your piece is in there. One last check that it's in the right place. Then I'm going to add my little stars just randomly in my base. Just another added element of cuteness. I think that should be it. And then we leave this to cure and come back tomorrow. Okay, and now we can take all of this off because it should be attached firmly. You can move all this and we should be able to take it out of the mold. Okay, final steps. We're going to give this a little sand. We're going to fill these in with a little bit of paint, and we're going to give it a resin dome. But as you can see, that is like stuck in there. You don't want to sand this away too much. You still want there to be a little edge to catch the resin. Okay, for the paint, I'm going to fill it in with a little bit of dark grey. Mix of a colour that I'm not wanting something too dark. You want a baby wipe to hand. You don't want it too watery, you want it thick enough that it's going to stay in there and not wipe out too easily. And you're just going to fill in all the crevices. Now, depending on what mold you use, obviously will depend how you finish this. Maybe you don't like this stage. a little bit down there too. I'm just going to wipe it off. I'm going to mix up a resin to dome the top and it will be finished. And a little tiny bit of glitter just to match everything else. And this is just, the hardest bit is going to be the front lip, so I'm going to do that first. Just scraping my stick on there. Once you get the front lip done, the rest is easy, but it's just getting the resin to be in there in the first place. There we go. Then you can just start pushing the resin in everywhere else. Clean up any spillages. And that is ready to cure. So this is the finished piece, guys. As you can see, obviously, if you're worried about having a candle near resin, use a battery tea candle. I don't have any, and I wanted to show you how it looks when it's all lit up. This is why we make it semi-transparent. And it's very cute. I finished mine by fabric gluing felt to the base and using some half petals as feet, just to elevate it a little. That'll help with distribution of heat as well if you use a real candle. And it's very cute, as you can see. And you can use just about any molds as your decorative piece at the front, as long as you have a flat base to embed it in. It's very cute. This is another one that I've been working on. This one can sit with a candle just behind it. A long pillar candle would look really cool behind this. And I could maybe even put a little eye pin here and hang some crystals, because this is freestanding. And that was using the exact same mold twice. I made the first piece and then I used the same mold to make the base. I mean, the possibilities for this are endless. You could make picture frames, you could make stands and holders. They're just very cute. Well, that's the finished pieces made with the Let's Resin newest epoxy resin. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some ideas on things you could do with your resin. And I really enjoyed working with this epoxy, and I will be using it for other projects. I will catch you in the next video.